Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's Sunday for the week of October 26th. Whoa, wait, October, man. October 2nd. I'm jumping way ahead. I am all over the place today. There's a morning. It's Sunday for the week of October 26th. Whoa, October 2nd. Jumping way ahead. You start losing track of your dates once you have kids. Once you're getting ready to have kids. How's everybody doing? How's everybody this lovely morning? Of course, we're going to be talking about Luke Cage. I'm only on episode 6, so I would appreciate for you guys to keep it spoiler-free in the chat right now as much as possible, simply because of the fact that so many people are still making their way through it. I'm enjoying it right now so far, though. So keep it fair to everybody. We don't want to be dicks. You know how that goes. So yeah, shoot me some questions and all that good stuff. I'm on episode 6 right now. I'm enjoying it so far. Really, really good. I love what they're doing with Cottonmouth. I love everything that they're doing with all the characters and things like that. It is. It's very slow. It's definitely a different pace from what we're used to Daredevil. It does get better as it goes along. I've noticed that a lot. Yeah, it starts off really, really slow. The first episode, there's almost no action. There's almost morning. There's almost not much going on except it's setting up a lot of plot. It's setting up a lot of characters and things like that. But it's really good so far. I've been enjoying it. I've been really digging it. But I have noticed if you're used to kind of a faster pace, especially from what we've got from Daredevil season 2, you're definitely going to be taken aback a little bit because Daredevil season 2, we start off with, if I'm not mistaken, I remember correctly, Daredevil season 2 starts off with the Punisher gunning down these people inside of this pawn shop or inside of this building. And yeah, it's definitely a slower pace. I enjoy it for the most part, but I agree that it does need to pick up the pace a little bit. It's getting there though. I'm six episodes in and I'm really enjoying it. I think I like it more than Jessica Jones. Okay, Black Panther info. I'm confused where to start. That is super easy. There are 4 Christopher Priest Ultimate Collections out right now, so you start with Christopher Priest. Christopher Priest is known for writing the definitive modern-day Black Panther run. Black Panther is a character, he's had a few good runs, and he's had a few good writers take on the mantle of the Black Panther character. They just released this week a epic collection or an ultimate collection or a masterwork, something like that, of a Black Panther Panther's Rage that I recommend you check out. Really good stuff, really fun stuff as well. So today I'm going to be on for about an hour, guys. I can't go super long simply because of the fact that I am recording a lot of stuff today, and I think you will enjoy it. So yeah, I'm working on a skit right now of the Loot Crate that if anybody here is subscribed to ACG Gaming, really great channel. He kind of inspired me and gave me an idea of a skit that I can do, kind of parodying Loot Crate, because personally I find a lot of that stuff disingenuous. I find a lot of people that are opening Loot Crate and things like that, they're just kind of hyping it up for the video, and I'm just like, you really don't give a shit about what's in here. So we'll see how that works out. Do you have Crisis on Infinite Earths Deluxe Edition? How's the paper quality? I do not have the Crisis on Infinite Earths Deluxe Edition. I would like to have it though. It's a fun story. A fun fact: I've never read Crisis. Believe it or not, I have never read Crisis on Infinite Earths or any of the Crisis series. Like all the different Crises, I've not read one. And I know that's like sacrilege to comic book collectors out there. And I know a lot of you are like, "Oh my gosh, how could you have not read Crisis?" I just never got around to it, guys. There are tons of comics that I've never gotten around to, and you can't read everything. You know, as much as I try, you can't read absolutely everything that comes out. I would love to. I would love to be able to sit down and go, okay, this is my job. I read absolutely every single comic that comes out. Have I read Usagi Yojimbo? I have not. Believe it or not, again, another one. Man, I'm just failing you guys all morning long today. I haven't read Usagi Yojimbo. I have heard great things. I'm kind of at a loss as to where I should start reading Usagi Yojimbo, simply because there are all these different editions that are come out. There are all these different versions of the book that have come out. I'm like, where the hell do I even start? I know they keep releasing these beautiful little oversized deluxe editions that I've been wanting to get into, and I've seen some pictures and some videos and things like that, and man, I really, really want to get those editions. They look beautiful, but some of those, if I'm not mistaken, are massively out of print, and they fetch for a lot of cash. What else? I saw some more questions. Yeah, Luke Cage is great, man. Uh, Luke Cage has been really good. Yeah, Jess is a fan of Usagi. You could probably ask him. Crisis to non-DC fans usually gets a rep of being hella convoluted. I bought on a digital sale $5, and actually, I don't plan on reading it. Oh, too many better reads in front of it. Hello, I'm watching you from the Highlands. I'm reading The Preacher, and I'm loving it. Awesome, man. I'm glad you're liking Preacher. Can you suggest similar titles like Preacher to read? Preacher is something that it's wholly unique. If you're looking for something that is a little bit closer in tone to Preacher and something that is satirizing and is kind of scathing and looking at modern day society and religion and politics and things like that, I would say your next closest bet off the top of my head would probably be Transmetropolitan. Transmetropolitan, for those of you that have never read, is brilliant. Transmetropolitan is written by Warren Ellis, and it stars the character of Spider Jerusalem, and it's set some odd years in the future. There's no exact date, and basically he is a journalist, and he's investigating this election for this guy called the Smiler. And it is a scathing look at the power of journalism, at the power of manipulation, at the power of politics, especially nowadays with what we're going to, or what we're going through here in the United States with our current situation in politics. It's more relevant than ever. It is brilliant. Transmetropolitan is fantastic, man. Have I read Superman American Alien? What are your thoughts on it? I have not. I haven't gotten a chance to read Superman American Alien. My opinion on it, though, is that I've heard great things, but I also don't like Max Landis as a person. Based on what I've heard, he's kind of an ass, and I'm not that crazy about, you know, his material and things like that. Yeah, he wrote Chronicle, which is a fantastic film, and he's done some other things. But for me, no, I'm just man. And then here's the thing: I'm usually pretty good at separating the writer from the material. Um, and Max Landis is one of those cases that I've seen interviews with him, and I've seen so many things with him, and I'm just like, you're kind of an asshole, and I really don't want to support your work, but I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm actually gonna order the trade and take a look at it. Let me see. Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1 and 2. Is it worth a buy? I sold my Todd McFarlane Omnibus. I would say yes. If you are a fan of Silver Age comics and you are a fan of the comics that started out and seeing origins and seeing like Vulture and seeing all these different characters and seeing where they got their start, Dr. Octopus, Rhino, Mysterio, all these characters start out in those two omnibuses. Absolutely, I recommend you check it out. But I always tell this to people that they ask me, hey, should I start on, you know, a Silver Age comic or a Golden Age comic? I always say this. You gotta understand it's gonna be very exposition heavy. It's gonna be a lot of dialogue, and the stories are very truncated. A lot of people don't remember this, but the original Silver Surfer arc starring Galactus is actually just about 2-3 issues long. That is it. Whereas in today's comics, that would be expanded over to probably like about an 8-issue arc. That would be a whole own book. Jack Kirby and Stan Lee knocked that bitch out in like 2 issues. It was crazy. It was really good stuff, and it's a legendary thing. It's a legendary, you know, 2-issue arc. So I would say go into it. You can look up. Actually, here's what I would recommend you do. Look up the Marvel Unlimited app and try some stuff out. I'm not promoting Marvel. I'm not sponsored by them, obviously, but look up that stuff because it's a great way for you to take a look and see at some of Silver Age comics, some Golden Age comics, some Stan Lee style writing, and see if you like it or not. If you don't, then you know it's not for you. It's not for everybody. Let's see. Hello again. Lately, I've been into From Helio Chitamba. Hello again. Lately, I've been into espionage-type comic books. I read The Activity, Queen and Country. I'm always looking for new titles. This genre. Ed Brubaker did a solid job on Fatality. If you like Ed Brubaker and if you like a lot of his work, look up Sleeper. Sleeper is really good. It deals with undercover agents inside of this world full of superheroes inside the Wildstorm universe. Really great read. And if you like that, I would also recommend you read Lazarus by Greg Lucka. I mean, I'm messing up all over the place today. This is what happens when you only get 5 hours of sleep, guys. When you're working on stuff for the YouTube channel. Lazarus by Greg Rucka is great. It's a fascinating comics. I often don't really like the art of the Golden Age and Silver Age comics. Really? I always find that kind of interesting, and I understand where you're coming from because compared to the art of today, it is a little bit rougher. It is a little bit stylistically different than what is going on in today's art, but I always love Golden Age and Silver Age comics because I get a look at, I kind of get to see what we were at during the 70s, during the 60s, during the 50s, and it's really interesting to see that transition between the years, between the Golden Age, between the Silver Age, between, you know, even today's comics. Jack Kirby's style is vastly different from, let's say, somebody that's from the style of today, from, let's say, Jerome Pena. You know, Jerome Pena's style is beautiful, but Jack Kirby's style is beautiful in its own way. Because Jack Kirby's style, I would argue, has more power in every single panel with the way he illustrates comics, in the way that he positions the body and the movement, and in the way that he kind of uses these huge kind of out of proportion body parts to emphasize a moment or a movement and to emphasize power. Look at The Thing, how Jack Kirby used to draw The Thing. It's really cool because a lot of it is really out of proportion. However, it's really powerful stuff, and the way that it kind of pops off the page. Will I be picking up the Daredevil Stan Lee omnibus when it is released? Absolutely. Can't wait. Can't wait to get me some classic Silver Age Daredevil stuff, man. Oh my goodness, that's gonna be so good. You talked about artists and art. Is there any comic you didn't like after learning more about the artist anymore? I've gone on record and said this. I don't read Brian Wood's books. You can do a simple Google search as to why, and I don't support any of his books on this channel. Again, do a simple Google search. I'm not going to get into why I don't read or support any of this stuff, aside from the fact also that I've heard he's kind of an asshole to people at cons. But yeah, I do not support any of his stuff. It kind of ruined a lot of his stuff for me, and I really read Northlanders, and I know he's got a new Viking book out that I've heard is great. But in the back of my mind, even if I try to read it, even if I try to sit down with it, if I purchase it, then I'm just going to be supporting a guy that I just, I've always heard not that great things about. Let's see. You talked about... I like Alex Ross more than Kirby. I have more of a connection to it. Well, a lot of people, I'm assuming you're pretty young. A lot of people... Well, Alex Ross has been around for a while. A lot of people grew up with that really nice painted style of Alex Ross, especially in the 90s and the 2000s, and even today. Alex Ross is all around. He does a bunch of covers and stuff like that, and people are just drawn to that kind of style, that painted, photorealistic, lush watercolor style that Alex Ross does very well. Personally, I like Ross. Yeah, personally, I like Ross, but he's somebody that he works well for what he does. I would never just buy a comic solely based on Ross's art. And, you know, I mean, it's good for what it is. Let's see. I'll be picking up the Daredevil family. Let's see. Oh no, you just ruined Brian Wood. Sorry, I just ruined Brian Wood for you. But yeah, like I said, he's had some issues at local cons and things like that, and I've heard he's kind of an ass. I'm nearing the end of Bendis' Daredevil run. Great stuff. Oh, yeah, definitely. Go pick up the Brubaker run after that. Brubaker's run takes place like a few days right after the Brian Michael Bendis run. finishes up, and it's really good, man. You want to talk about Brubaker was put. I'm not going to ruin the ending of the Bendis run, but you want to talk about being put in a really tough spot. Brubaker was put in a huge hole to dig himself out of, and he runs with the ball Ed Brubaker does in that run. I love Sal Buscema and John Byrne most. I think it's great and holds up really well. Okay, there's another example of a writer / artist that I've heard he is a total asshole in real life. John Byrne. I've heard John Byrne is a complete ass in real life. But the guy's work is so legendary that, you know, I'm willing to look past certain aspects of him, and I'm willing to look past certain things that he's done in order to appreciate the man's work. I mean, you know, he's worked on Hellboy, he's worked on Fantastic Four, Avengers, you name it. John Byrne has had pretty much a hand in it. And Superman, that's another great example. His run on Superman is apparently legendary. Unfortunately, his run on Superman is massively out of print, and I would love to get my hands on it. Why, DC, why do we not have a John Byrne Man of Steel Superman omnibus yet? Or at least an absolute edition? That stuff is great. It's legendary. It's classic stuff. I would have automatically put in for a John Byrne omnibus. Peter David. Peter David's a great example. We need a Peter David Hulk omnibus. Why do we have that? Peter David's Hulk run is legendary. It's known as one of the best and defining runs of that character. Riley Moore loves that run. The Omnibus Collector, he loves Peter David's Hulk. I was going to wait for Ed Brubaker's omnibus to be released instead of getting the trades. Do you think it will be worth it? If you can hold out, why not? I mean, if not, then I know for me as a completionist, if I had Brian Michael Bendis' Ed Brubaker in trade paperback, I would have to have Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil run. Wow, I'm messing up all over the place. I'm telling you, 5 hours of sleep, guys. Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil run in trade paperback, I would have to continue it in trade paperback when I got the Ed Brubaker stuff, because I'm such a completionist and they tie in so well that I would have to have it that way. Now, if I had Brian Michael Bendis' Omnibus Daredevil, I would have to get Ed Brubaker's Omnibus Daredevil. Again, I'm such a weird completionist in the back of my head. Let's see. Yeah, I heard that too, and I won't look up what he's done. I don't want to ruin his image in my head. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Pink. If you look it up, you're probably going to ruin it, the image in your head. Let's see what else. But to be honest, I enjoy Golden Age, Silver Age more than generic modern stuff. I love stuff that Greg Capullo, Mike Henderson, Matteo Scalera, etc. Matteo Scalera is crushing it. And yes, I did see that they are releasing a Black Science statue later on next year or this year for like $150. It looks incredible. It looks so good. I want to get my hands on it. I follow him on Instagram. Really cool cat. He does a lot of weird stuff. Matteo Scalera is a really great artist. Greg Capullo is another really great artist this day and age. Jerome Pena, another one of my top favorite artists that's out there. And every time he's on a book, it's just, oh, gorgeous. So good. Mike Henderson, Nailbiter. Nailbiter's art is really good. It's really cartoony and really unique. I think my top 2 artists would have to be Alex Ross and Gabriel Rodriguez. Good choices. Alex Ross and Gabriel Rodriguez. For those of you that never read Lock and Key is brilliant, and Gabriel Rodriguez's art is amazing. He actually is an architect for his full, before he got into comics, he was an architect, and I think he still is in many ways an architect. And the way he did the house for Lock and Key is that he actually labeled the whole floor plan of the actual house. So if you look, and he's posted pictures on his Twitter, you can see the whole floor plan of how Lock and Key house will look. Really great stuff. And he's gone on Twitter saying, I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I labeled the actual floor plan of the house, because now we have to actually stick to it, and it's kind of a pain in the ass when we're writing and drawing comics. I know there's a lot of Alan Moore hate at the moment, but not only is he incredibly talented, he's the nicest guy in person. I've actually heard, yeah, I've cracked on Alan Moore a lot, you know, the whole old man thing. But I've actually heard Alan Moore is kind of a really sweet guy if you talk to him in person. He'll sit down with you, he'll talk to you, he'll do interviews with you and things like that. And Alan Moore, to me, strikes me as the kind of guy that he just doesn't have time for anybody's bullshit. He doesn't have time for anybody's stupidity, and if you try to treat him like an idiot or if you act like an idiot around him, he's going to call you out on it. I love Alan Moore as a writer. Now, as a person, again, that's another example. Alan Moore has said some things over the previous few years, and I'm like, I can give or take Alan Moore. Come on. It's time to grow up a little bit. Comments have evolved, and I would love to see him come back and do some really kick-ass Superman stories, or really come back and do some Spider-Man or something. And I know he still has it in him. I know Alan Moore could still crank out a great story, but you take the good with the bad sometimes. I love Alan Moore's cameo in Nailbiter. Yeah, same. Do I read manga? Yes, currently I am reading, what's that zombie book? Oh my gosh. I can't believe I forgot the name of it. It's a really popular zombie book. I'm also going back and rereading 20th Century Boys. I'm reading Vagabond. I'm reading a whole bunch of different stuff from manga right now. Anything else as far as manga? I want to start reading Astro Boy. I want to go back and read the classic Astro Boy stuff. What are you guys reading as far as like manga? You just finished Parasite. Is that good? I Am a Hero. That's the name of it. Yeah, I Am a Hero is the zombie manga that I'm reading right now. I know the second omnibus I think comes out this week. I read the first omnibus, I reviewed it, and I gave it a borrow simply because I thought it was way too slow of a story, but it does pick up halfway through it, and when it picks up, it really does pick up, and the art is stellar. But I Am a Hero is one of those books that I've heard you get farther into it, it gets a lot better. I plan to pick up the second omnibus, and I plan to give it another shot this week when it does come out. But if it doesn't catch my attention, this second omnibus, then I'm just going to drop it. Mostly because I don't have enough time to sit down and read something that is too slow, or to sit down and read something that I have no interest in, especially today, and with the fact that I am planning for a kid pretty soon, with the fact that I am trying to create as many videos as I can a week. I'm pumping out probably on the average between Patreon and between you guys, probably about 7-8 videos a week. And believe it or not, on top of having a full-time job as a teacher, it's really difficult. It is very hard to create content when you're a full-time teacher, and when you have a kid on the way and you have so many different things going on. But it's fun. I like doing it. As far as manga is concerned, you need to check out everything Asano Ino. Hey, Paris Priscilla. In particular is amazing. I'm gonna have to. How's One Punch Man? I still haven't read One Punch Man. I really wanted to read One Punch Man for a while. Do you think an artist should change their people's faces design from series to series if all possible? Capullo's Reborn looks so Batman face-wise. I think for an artist has a certain style and they're set in their way. Sean Murphy is another guy that I love his art, but you gotta admit, sometimes a lot of the characters in Sean Murphy's art, they tend to look alike. There are a few characters in his new series, Tokyo Ghost, that look like certain characters from Punk Rock Jesus. And there are a few panels in Tokyo Ghost that I go, I could have swore I've seen that panel in Punk Rock Jesus. But, an artist has a particular style, and they have a particular way of doing things, and they have to meet certain deadlines. So it doesn't make sense that some artists kind of repeat the same faces, or kind of repeat the same actions, or in some ways kind of repeat the same poses in order to meet that certain deadline. Otherwise, they're going to be behind. You got to think about it like this way. Artists get paid per page, not per book. They get paid to crank out pages, and they get paid to make deadlines. They don't make deadlines, they don't get paid. If they don't crank out pages, they don't get paid. So in that sense, I understand why an artist would kind of use the same faces, use kind of the same poses, and use kind of the same style. John Romita Jr. is a perfect example of this. They've done an interview with John Romita Jr. on this Daredevil documentary. And John Romita Jr. has said, what would you classify your style? And he said, my style is the I get shit turned in on time style. He's evolved. His style has evolved. And for the worst, in my opinion, I liked his older stuff than his newer stuff. Steve Dillon. Steve Dillon is another example. Steve Dillon gets criticized for using a lot of the same faces. I'm making my way through the Punisher Max omnibus with Jason Aaron and Steve Dillon, and I have noticed that a lot of the faces and a lot of the body types and things like that, the stuff that he was cranking out for Preacher even 20 years ago. I get this one a lot. Do you think Francis Manapul Omnibus by The Flash will be worth its money? Yes, yes, I do. Mainly because the art, man. The art looks gorgeous. And I've actually heard really good things about the Francis Manapul Flash run. I've heard it's not amazing or incredible or anything like that. And I've heard the art is gorgeous, but it's a fun read. That's what I've heard overall. One Punch Man is really hilarious. Yes, I've been wanting to read One Punch Man for a long, long time, man. I've heard great things. I have no clue what it's about. All I know is that it's about a guy, I think his name is Satima or something like that, and he's able to kill monsters with one punch. And it's like a scathing parody of like Dragon Ball Z and like all these other mangas and things like that that's out there. Oh, today's Sunday. That means Dragon Ball Super is out today. Yes, episode 60. Can't wait to watch Dragon Ball Super. I can't believe we have to wait for a Shang-Chi omnibus. Yeah, you're going to have to wait for your Shang-Chi omnibus. If you want the direct market variant, the prettier color cover, as I like to call it, not the fugly John Cassaday cover. Here's an interesting thing. Manga is actually the most popular form of comics in the world. American comics aren't that popular, aren't as popular as they were. Manga is blown up and is way more popular than American comics are right now. So I'm trying to broaden my horizons a little bit more. I've read a little bit of manga here and there throughout the years, and people have always recommended me stuff. So I'm just trying to really kind of get into it a lot more. But yeah. I'm really interested in reading like all these different books. One Punch Man being one of them, Vinland Saga, Vagabond, the list goes on and on. I'm looking for a new manga series to read, but I'm not sure what to get. Pluto. Pluto is a fascinating little manga series that I recommend you read. The Y: The Last Man absolutes have been lacking content, like you've said. However, you can't deny that the covers are sick. Oh no, the covers on the slipcase are beautiful. They are gorgeous little covers on the slipcase and on the books. But for the content that you're getting there, I just don't see why you pay 75, 80 bucks a pop for the Y: The Last Man Absolute Edition when you're getting so little content. It's very piss poor. The amount of content you're getting for that is just ridiculously low. And I've seen so many more omnibus. Hell, Dark Horse has put out these beautiful little library editions of The Goon, of Hellboy. And they have so much more content than what's in the Y: The Last Man Absolute editions. That's why I always recommend to people don't pick up the Y: The Last Man Absolute Edition. Go for the hardcovers or the trade paperbacks. You'll be saving yourself a lot of money. Unless you want to get the art in a nice oversized format. That's the only way. I was so hyped for having an Absolute Y: The Last Man, but I sold the Absolute edition I had. "20th Century Boys" was 10 out of 10 for the first 14 volumes, but was just average after that. I kind of agree with you on that. I mean, it's my favorite manga, and I could see your point. 20th Century Boys was great, and then it starts spinning its wheels a little bit, and it starts going, okay, filler, 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 and then it hits you with like a big moment where you're like, oh crap, I need to keep reading. But for the most part, I would actually agree. I would say 14 through 20-ish, it's a little bit too much filler for my taste. What is the best graphic novel? Closed story. Man, I can't just tell you, but there are a few great little graphic novels out there that you should definitely pick up. There's Blankets, Habibi. There's The Fifth Beatle. Ooh, The Fifth Beatle is really good. Fifth Beatle is great. What's up, Lewis? Hey, what's up, man? Okay, Mouse. Mouse is great. People that are asking me in the chat, have I seen all of Luke Cage? No, I am 6 episodes into Luke Cage. I've been enjoying it so far, but my overall consensus is that it's a bit slow when it starts. Hey man, your vids are the best by George Sutton. Hey man, your vids are the best, and your library is goals, but I'm looking for a couple of smaller one-shot graphic novels that I can read in one sitting that don't cost too much. Omega Men. I recently reviewed Omega Men. It's a one-shot. It's a self-contained graphic novel that you can read. You don't need to know anything else about the DC universe, and you will absolutely love. It was the first book that I gave my perfect award to. Omega Men is great. Blankets, Habibi, I've been listing those off already. Fifth Beatle. Fifth Beatle is really good. If you like the Beatles, it's the Brian Epstein story, who is, by all accounts, considered the fifth member of the Beatles. He was the manager for the Beatles, and he was gay. And back then, if you were gay in Britain and in that area, it was illegal, and they could chemically castrate you. Very, very sad story, but very brilliant story as well, and the art is absolutely beautiful. I recommend you check that out. Do I think Stan stole credit from other artists and creators? I personally don't believe it. I'm not going to dog Stan Lee too much because, you know, it was what it was in the time, but I do think Stan Lee has taken a lot of credit for a lot of characters and creations that he might not have necessarily taken. He might not have done everything that he claims to have done. There was a lot of debate. There's been a lot of debate over the years as to what Stan Lee did and what Stan Lee did not do, especially in the era of the Fantastic Four and in Spider-Man, because there was a certain point where apparently Stan Lee was pretty much just hands off with everything the Fantastic Four. Like, Jack Kirby would go to him and say, hey, what do you think of this? And he'd be like, yeah, just do it. And he would still put his name on it. And Jack Kirby, for a lot of years, didn't get credit on a lot of those characters on Fantastic Four and things like that. Yeah, George, pick up Omega Men. If you guys, if you are looking for a one and done graphic novel, self-contained, you will like it. I gave it my perfect award. Omega Men. Omega Men is so good. It's so much fun. Guys, you guys are killing it. You guys are throwing recommendations out there. Day Tripper is another good one. Day Tripper is amazing. Go pick up Omega Men and Day Tripper. Day Tripper is so fucking good, man. Oh my god. Homework time. Guys, homework time for you guys. Go out, pick up Day Tripper, cry, and then let me know what you thought about it. Day Tripper is so freaking fantastic, man. Oh, if I were to do another perfect award, Day Tripper would get it. Day Tripper would be another book that if I had reviewed it today would get the perfect award. I like Comic Pop, but your live stream kills theirs. There's a one-to-one discussion taking turns with viewers. Well, thank you, sir. I have the utmost respect for what they do at Comic Pop. They seem like cool people. And Comic Pop is more of a party with interaction. You're doing great, dude. I look forward to these. Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. Have you read the Battle Royale manga? No, I have not, but I've seen the movie. My local comic shop is having a sale soon. I'm going to pick up some Manifest Destiny because of yours and Riley's recommendation. Do it! Manifest Destiny is really fun. But he gives Steve Ditko credit for Doctor Strange. This is only created by Steve Ditko, as he should. Steve Ditko was really the primary force behind Doctor Strange. He was really the one that made Doctor Strange what it was, especially when Stan Lee really dropped off the book and fell off, and Steve Ditko ran with it and created some of the best, most legendary comic villains that Strange fights today. We're talking about Mephisto, you know, things like that. Oh, I'm kind of congested today, so bear with me, guys. I'm kind of like a little bug right now. You know, I've never read Mouse. I have not read Mouse yet. And as a self-respecting comic fan, I get hate from all of the comic book readers out there. Like, how have you never read Mouse? It's taught in college courses. I will put an order in for Mouse this week or next week on my next stock trades order, and I will sit down and read it. I know a lot of people have given me hate, like, how the hell have you not read Mouse? It's incredible. I've always wanted to sit down with it. It's just, Mouse is one of those books that I've heard so many great things about it, and I've heard it's so fantastic and it's so like literate and it's so brilliant that it's kind of always intimidated me. Not the sense that I'm scared of it, but in the sense that I don't know if it can live up to the hype that's around it. Mainly because of the fact that I felt the same way with Watchmen. When I read Watchmen, I felt this is fantastic, it's amazing, it's incredible, and all this other stuff, but there was so much hype around it, it kind of tainted my experience for it a little bit. Okay, last question. Is there anything by Mark Millar you would recommend? It's so sick that everyone can interact. I agree. I love interacting with you guys from all around the world. It still blows my mind that I have so many people from all over the world that are checking out this little channel that I started to do a few years ago. Anything from Mark Millar? Ooh, the Jupiter's Legacy series is fantastic. His Jupiter's Legacy and Jupiter's Circle series that he's doing right now, really, really, really freaking good, man. Really fantastic. Old Man Logan. Ooh, Old Man Logan. Good recommendation. Old Man. So I would recommend pick up Old Man Logan. That's my recommendation for you. Pick up Old Man Logan. It's self-contained. It's a Mark Millar Wolverine story where it's set in the future, and the rumor has it that Old for the next Wolverine movie. So I would recommend you get in on that while you can. Oh, Old Man Logan is so freaking good. If you're a fan of westerns, Old Man Logan is what you need to read. So good, man. What do I have to do to get you to read Berserk? I don't know. I don't know what you have to do to get me to read Berserk. I have no clue. Berserk is expensive, and I don't have that much money. You know, I mean, the Patreon's kicking off, thankfully, and that's offsetting the cost of certain books. And I'm planning to get lights, and I'm planning to get a bunch of different things using that. But man, I really want to read Berserk, and I want to watch the manga. I mean, the anime. Yeah, I love current Old Man Logan more than Millar's run. How is Old Man Logan? Berserk keeps going out of print. It does. I didn't know that. There's a DC universe. Hey, glad to help, George. I'm reading East of West right now. I had no idea it was placed in the future. Yeah, East of West is set in the future. It's really good. I hope you enjoyed it. It's set in kind of this alternate future. I love East of West. It's so good. I think it's the best thing Hickman's writing right now. The first major arc of Berserk volumes 1 through 13 is still readily available and quite affordable. Hmm. I really am gonna have to jump onto Berserk. God, now I feel bad for not having read it. You guys keep saying, "Oh, you gotta read Berserk. You should read Berserk. Berserk's incredible. It's so good." Thank you. Yeah, these live streams are sick. It's absolutely great. Everyone can ask you things about this great hobby. Hey, that's what I'm happy for, guys. I'm happy that I'm able to kind of share with you guys this little hobby that I started out of this channel that I thought a few years ago nobody would give a damn about. In all seriousness, I got a kind of a group the other day because I was like, I started almost tearing up, um, because it hit me that the channel is really taking off. Yes, it's really slow, but in a way, I kind of prefer it in that sense because it makes interacting with you guys a lot easier. Once the channel starts blowing up and it starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it just becomes harder to get that kind of one-on-one interaction. And I think right now it's kind of in a good place because I can do these live streams and it's not boom, 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 boom. The chat isn't just flying off the handle and I can't keep up with it. And it's getting harder and harder. It's getting really harder and harder to keep up with you guys. Scarface remake, yay or nay? I'm looking forward to it. Berserk, I'm waiting for the guy to finish writing it. He's taking forever. The 90s anime is great. How long has Berserk been around? How long has Berserk's been around since the 90s, hasn't it? Best Guardians of the Galaxy modern starting point. What do you think of the Guardians of the Galaxy? The best Guardians of the Galaxy modern starting point would be the Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the definitive run of the modern day Guardians of the Galaxy. I would say you take a hard pass on pretty much anything that Brian Michael Bendis is doing with Guardians of the Galaxy because for me it's all trash. So I would say yeah, start with the Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning Guardians of the Galaxy and you'll be perfectly fine. So really fun at the beginning of Marvel Cosmic, then you got to hunt down Annihilation. You got to start with Annihilation, and you go from that to Annihilation Conquest, and then from that you go to Guardians of the Galaxy, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, stay away from the Bendis Guardians of the Galaxy, guys. Please stay away from that. Bendis' Guardians of the Galaxy. It's I didn't think it was that great, but but at the same time, I'm always a proponent for read what you like. And if you like something, go ahead and read it. Do you know of any good straight up murder mystery comics? Many people suggest Long Halloween and Identity Crisis. Are there any others? Really good question. I mean, there's obviously the classics like Watchmen and things like that, but murder mystery. Ooh, From Hell. From Hell. Alan Moore's From Hell is a good comic. If you're looking for a murder mystery, it deals with the Jack the Ripper story. That's really good. That's what I've heard. I haven't read it, and they just released a beautiful little hardcover collection that I want to get my hands on. Hardcover, would you write Doctor Strange? Yes, I would. I would love to write Doctor Strange. It would be trippy as hell, I'll tell you that much. It would be really fun. Annihilation will get a reprint. I hope so. I hope Annihilation gets a reprint. I would love for Annihilation to get a reprint. Have I read the Fade Out? Looking forward to picking up the deluxe edition. I want to read it. I've read the first few issues of it and I enjoyed it, but like all things Ed Brubaker, I'm holding off because I know Ed Brubaker loves putting out these glorious little hardcover collections, and it's going to come out either this year or next year, and it's going to be beautiful. Yeah, there's a Fade Out. There is a Fade Out hardcover collection that has been solicited, and you can look on Amazon. You can find it. In fact, I will look at it right now, and I will post that in the chat for you guys. Can't wait to the Fade Out. It apparently is brilliant, and once it gets going, it's absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed the little bit that I've read, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. Let's see what the release date is for the Fade Out. October 18th. Wow, that's right around the corner. That means In Stock Trade should have it in the next 2 weeks. Wow, that is right around the corner. Ah, that was the wrong link. Hold on. I don't know why I did that. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. There it is. Will you be getting the Watchmen hardcover collection where each issue is a hardcover of the original? Whoa, wait, what? They are? They're doing that? Huh. I didn't know they were doing that. Where each issue is a hardcover of the original. That is tempting. It's actually really tempting. I think that'll look really badass on the shelf. I mean, it's going to be a huge space. It's going to take a lot of space on the shelf, but I think it will look really great. When do I think the Powers comic began to suck to me? It's after Volume 8. I think after Volume 1. I'm sorry. I didn't like Powers. I could not get into Powers absolutely at all. I have tried twice to read through Powers, and I could not stomach it. I don't know what it is. I just couldn't couldn't get through it. Let's say Joss Whedon's gonna do a comic run. Again, what character would you like to see him work on? I will go with Spider-Man. I think it would crush Spider-Man. Spider-Man or Captain Marvel would be a great Joss Whedon book. What decades do you enjoy comics the most? The 50s remakes are nice. Are we talking about like a setting for comics? Because I'm going to be honest, I am a sucker for everything 1950s. I love 1950s books, man. I love that time period. I love everything that goes on in the 50s. I'm just a sucker for it. I don't know what it is, but I've always been drawn to that aesthetic and that style and that time of living and that time of, post World War II where everything was like, oh my gosh, America is great, everything's going on, and that idealistic vision of America and the United States, even though, things were pretty rough still then. And I'm always a sucker for that time period, which is probably the reason why I like Fallout so much. Seems random, but does anyone know any good comics involving the Mexican cartels? No, I don't, and that's really random. Does Low Descender or Sex Criminals have a hard? Sex Criminals does have a hardcover. Descender doesn't, and neither does Low so far. But knowing Rick Remender, Low will get a hardcover because Rick Remender loves. He's even said it. He's like, I love putting together these giant, nice hardcovers. I love seeing them on the shelves. Any indie comic authors that you like? Yeah, a bunch of them. We talking about strictly just indie, just guys like that. They just do indie books and nothing else. What is the best thing that Bendis has done? I will say Ultimate Spider-Man. I would say that Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil is absolutely the best thing that he's done, and he still, to me, has not topped it because that was such a legendary run. Oh my! And Alex Maleev's art, beautiful stuff. Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil run is fantastic, man. There are some days where I would say it's the best Daredevil run, and then there are some days where I would say it's Frank Miller's run. And there are some days where I would even go so far as to say it's Mark Waid's run, depending on what I'm in the mood for. I'm going through rereading Mark Waid's Daredevil run, and by the way, that'll be the review that will be up for this week. That should be up for Patreons today, later tonight, and for regular subscribers, that review will go up tomorrow. To me, Fraction is the most overrated writer right now. I kind of agree with you. I actually kind of agree with you that I think Matt Fraction is one of the most overrated writers right now. His Hawkeye run is great, and what it did for Marvel Comics is great because it kind of single-handedly shifted the tone of Marvel Comics into kind of a new direction where they could take these like little slice of life stories and do it. But for the most part, Matt Fraction's stuff, it starts out strong and it starts petering out for me. I've noticed that, especially with Sex Criminals. Such a great premise, such a great starting point, and then slowly but surely, it started to like teeter out for me for some reason. Daniel Klaus 8 Ball. I haven't read 8 Ball. I wanted to. Have I read any Zenescope comics? No. Bendis and Brubaker's run is kind of a big giant run for me. Would you agree? Yes. I would say that they merge so well into each other, even though Brubaker and Bendis, they kind of have their different ticks and their different traits and the way that they write things, but they merge so well that it just feels like such a natural continuation. Other than the fact that at least Brian Michael Bendis would give Matt some moments of happiness, Ed Brubaker, I'm firmly convinced, isn't just angry at Matt Murdock, and he just wants to kick him down a black hole, even when you think he can't go any farther down. He just keeps kicking him down the hole. So that's why in some aspects I like Bendis' run a little bit more because Bendis is able to give some levity and some happiness to Matt, whereas Ed Brubaker was like, no, we're gonna keep kicking you down. You're gonna keep kicking you down a hole. There's no coming back from this. I'm like, holy shit! I think he is just about one toes out. Every day I pray for a Death of Captain America omnibus reprint. Every day I pray for an Ed Brubaker just Ultimate Collection, a reprint, or something of that, man. How have we not gotten, at the very least, an Ultimate Collection of Ed Brubaker's legendary run on Captain America? That's got to be coming up soon. Or at least a reprint on some of the omnibuses that are out of print. It's ridiculous that we still don't have that stuff already. Whatever, man. I have never seen you discuss work on Alan Moore. Is it because his titles are discussed to death? What do you think about the impact of his work in comics in general? Alan Moore is what it is, man. Here's my stance on it. Why am I going to review Watchmen? Why am I going to review V for Vendetta? Why am I going to review all of these absolutely brilliant and high-minded books when there are so many people out there that do it much better than I, that do it much more literate than I, that can dissect the books better than I can? It's just there's no point for me. There's so much content out there on those books alone that I really don't see myself as adding into it when I could use that time to kind of spotlight maybe something a little bit smaller, like a Fear Agent or a Black Science, or even, let me think, a Chew, where nobody's reading it and nobody's paying attention to it. Those books, they've been reviewed and they've been discussed to death. That's part of the reason why I don't really review almost anything Alan Moore does, because I just don't see the point in it. Sex Criminals is good, although Volume 3 pretty much stalled story-wise. Yeah, I would agree with that. The first 10 issues of Sex Criminal are great. And then Volume 3, it's like it's like Fraction blew his load all over the first 10 issues, and then he just lost steam all the way through. I'm like, what happened, man? And I know Chip Zdarsky and Fraction, well, Chip Zdarsky is busy writing like 13 other things. I don't know what the hell Fraction is doing anymore, to be honest. I haven't really been paying attention to him. It seems to me like Fraction's been... has most of his stuff been delayed lately? Because I haven't seen much of Matt Fraction in the comic world. Jesus, Harold. What did Fraction steal your girlfriend or something? Favorite Deadpool run? Joe Kelly. Joe Kelly and Brian Posehn's run is really good too. What is one writer that hates one character the most? I will. I would agree with that. I think Frank Miller absolutely hates Superman. Love your work, bro. Keep your videos to the point. I'm planning to get my hands on Animal Man Omnibus and Invisibles Omnibus by the end of this year. Is Invisibles worth the price? I would say it is. Invisibles is really, really trippy from the little bit that I've read. But I recommend. I think Invisibles is good, but you're gonna want to get. There's a companion book that I'm gonna dump in the chat that I recommend you do get when you read Invisibles, because it's gonna help your experience a lot more than if you didn't have it. Let me look on Amazon real quick, and I'm gonna put it in the chat for you guys out there that are curious about reading the Invisibles. It's like Dissecting the Invisibles or something like that. It's a really, really fun read if I can find it. I'll keep taking questions while I look for it. Would you recommend Spider-Man by Roger Stern omnibus? It's out of print. I found a decent deal on one. Is the Spider-Man by Roger Stern omnibus out of print? I haven't read it yet, but I've been wanting to. Is that out of print already? I didn't know that was out of print. Huh. I'm gonna have to check that out. I have it, and I picked it up probably for like 30 bucks a few like years ago or something like that at a local con. They had it on some like ridiculous sale. Yeah, the Invisibles Omnibus. Here's the thing about the Invisibles Omnibus. I would actually say pass on the Omnibus and get the hardcover editions that are out, because the Invisible Omnibus is really huge to the point where it's kind of a pain in the ass to wield it. So I'm going to say pass on the Invisibles Omnibus and just get the hardcover editions, because it's so big and it's so unwieldy and it's such a pain in the ass for you to kind of have to lug it around, plant it somewhere, and then, trying to read the whole thing. It's just ridiculous. It's not a very good way to read that. Invisibles by Grant Morrison. Where is that blasted? Ah, here we go. Okay. For those of you that want to read The Invisibles and you want to get the most out of it, pick up that book that I just sent you in the chat. That helps break down everything that's going on in The Invisibles, because The Invisibles references so much, and it's such a huge and crazy ass story that you would kind of need this book. Yeah, so pick up that book, and I guarantee you that'll help you out a lot. I've seen you mention Full Metal Alchemist. I think it'd be awesome if you could review manga. Yeah, I'm a fan of Full Metal Alchemist. If you can see that. I'm a huge fan of Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, I've got the Transmutation Circle tattooed on my chest. I've just read Berserk, and have you read it? I have not read Berserk. Oh my gosh, people keep asking me. That's not a link to a book? It's not. What? What is that a link to? Ah, come on. Hold on. Hold on, guys. I don't know why it sent the wrong link to you guys. Let's try this one more time. One more time. I don't know why it didn't send that link. That's going to bother me. Ah, piece of junk. You gotta love technology. You know, as far as we've come in society, and we are still messing up. Ugh. And we still can't get things right. Try this one. There we go. That should be it. That should be the link. I don't care. I thought it was common knowledge. For me, it's kind of shit. DC confirmed Wonder Woman is bi. What do you think? Oh God, this. Um, Personally, you know what? I don't care. I don't care at this point. I mean, it's good that it's a representation of the homosexual, bisexual, transgender community. And Wonder Woman stands as a strong symbol for a lot of that stuff and for equality and things like that. But for the most part, I'm just like, okay, yeah. I mean, it's in a way it's good, but in a way it's kind of a gimmicky thing where I'm like, okay, yeah, you're taking a character that's been, you know, mostly for the most part known as straight her entire run, and now you're saying, oh, she's bi. Like, okay, yeah, you know, it makes a lot of in certain ways it makes a lot of sense. You know, God, I'm gonna get into a really bad tangent here. I know I am. She was raised on the Themyscira, full of women and things like that, and you know, there's a lot of talk about nature versus nurture, especially in the homosexual, transgender, and bi community and all that stuff. And I'm not going to get into that here, but in certain ways, yeah, I can kind of see it. So I'm not. I'm just at the point where I just don't give a damn. And I think the less you give a damn about these kind of stunts and these things that DC Comics or Marvel Comics does, and the less you give a damn about DC Comics changing the sexual orientation or the preference or even the skin color or even the gender of a certain character, the happier you'll be. So I just stopped giving a damn. I'm like, all right, cool, she's bi. All right, yeah, okay. In some ways, I agree with that. I feel it's lazy to make her bi instead of creating a new character that's bi. But we actually got into this conversation in the live stream last week where we were talking about what we were talking about the fact that if you stick a new character on a book, it's not going to sell well. Because, you know, I mean, it is what it is. Comics today, they're expensive. People are very pricey with their money. People are very, you know, they're very money sense. I'm looking for the right word to say. People these days, they like to save money and they like to get the most of their value. They're much more stingy than they were before, rightfully so, because, you know, the economy is what it is. In order for you to have a successful character start its own run without any previous run beforehand, or without putting the name of like Wonder Woman or Miss Marvel or something in front of it, that character has to be really something special. So in a sense, I get what they're doing by showing more representation for that community by having this iconic figure of a woman being that representation. I get that. Would I have liked to have seen another character introduced in the DC universe that's awesome, that's kind of like Wonder Woman, that is bi or gay or transgender? Absolutely. Would it have sold? That's the better question. Because at the end of the day, DC Comics, Marvel Comics, they are a business. They want to sell comics. And them getting a writer, them wasting them getting an artist to write a book that they're not 100% sure would sell, I understand from that perspective why they didn't do it. Why they didn't just create a new character. Would I like to have seen it? Absolutely. But the fact is that a Wonder Woman book, for even if it's okay, will sell. And I've been reading a little bit of the Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman run, and for the most part, I think it's okay. I think it's all right. I don't think it's amazing or incredible, but I think it's pretty good. You should check out those old horror comic, sci-fi comics from the EC Comics. Would love to see a video you do of Grams Ingle, Wally Wood, Al Williamson. These are just legends. Oh, the EC Comics are legendary stuff. I've never read it, but I've heard incredible stuff, man. I found an article about a bike thief with the hydrogen model tattoo on his forehead, Dr. Manhattan style. Wow. What's the chance of getting a second deluxe of Peter Panzerfaust? Did Peter Panzerfaust end? I think it did end, and I would say if it did end, then chances are you're gonna get your second hardcover or deluxe edition pretty soon. I mean, they're cranking out deluxe editions for stuff that I thought wouldn't sell well. Wicked and Divine's one of those where I'm like, I read the first few issues and I was like, this is pretty good. You know, I don't see a hardcover coming out of it, and surely enough, apparently it's got its own little cult following that it sold well enough that they're putting out another hardcover pretty soon. Let's see. Have any of you read Sugar Skull Hive? Zed Out doesn't have a series name for some reason. I haven't. Zed Out is one of those books that I've been dying to read, and I've heard amazing things about it. I just haven't had a chance to actually sit down with it. All right, guys. 5 more minutes, simply because the rest of this afternoon is going to be filled up with me recording reviews, with me recording a skit that I've got planned, and with me recording some other things down the pipe that are coming this week for Patreon members as well. So 5 more minutes of it. By the way, if you guys like Loot Crate, please don't take the skit that I'm going to do too offensively, because I'm going to do a scathing thing on Loot Crate. And it might be funny, it might not. You know, we'll give it a go and see how it happens. See what happens. And if you like unboxing videos, like for Loot Crate and stuff like that, then chances are you're probably not going to like what I'm going to do in a few hours. Mostly because it's like I said, I kind of find a lot of those unboxing Loot Crate videos to be disingenuous. It's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I can't believe I got this Funko Pop that if you go online right now and you go through this service, you can get it too. I'm like, oh, come on, dude. You really don't give a damn about that. Dark Knight 3 single issues hardcovers. I want to get them, man. I really, really want to get the single issue hardcover editions that are coming out. They look so nice. Don't get Dr. Manhattan tattoo, dude. He is a dick. I'm not getting a Dr. Manhattan tattoo. Favorite Darwin cookbook? That's an easy answer. New Frontier. New Frontier is legendary. New Frontier is incredible. And if you are a fan of Justice League, and if you are a fan of those classic comics, absolutely, man. New Frontier is the best way to go. Heard Frank Miller's actually writing The Dark Knight 3. Actually, Frank Miller is not writing The Dark Knight 3. Frank Miller isn't really writing it. He kind of confirmed it at San Diego Comic-Con. They asked him, he's like, so how much influence do you have on Dark Knight 3? He's like, not really much. Like, they hand me a few things and they hand me a few scripts and I give them my blessing, but for the most part, it's Brian Azzarello that's writing it. Yeah, Brian Azzarello is actually the one that's spearheading Dark Knight 3, which I haven't read, but I've actually heard it's not bad. I've heard it's pretty good. Do you think the New Frontier Absolute will get a reprint? I would certainly hope so. That's a story that I hope it gets a reprint because I think it's one of those comics that should be taught in college courses. It's one of those comics that is absolutely brilliant, and it shows the power of the genre, and it shows the best possible representation of what superheroes should be and what superheroes will eventually, superheroes could strive for. Apparently Dark Knight 4 is in the works. Yes, apparently Frank Miller has ideas for Dark Knight 4 that he single-handedly will write and draw. What those are, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. I mean, Frank Miller, man. And if you've seen him recently, he was looking rough. I mean, he was looking like straight Freddy Krueger. Apparently, I still don't understand Marvel's decision to make Captain Marvel the first solo female movie. I understand it. I totally understand it. Go read Kelly Sue DeConnick's run. Go read Kelly Sue DeConnick's run and look at how much love she got for that run and how she turned around the character and made her kind of this really strong female icon for a lot of women in the comic book industry. I've read some of Kelly Sue DeConnick's Captain Marvel, and personally, not for me. Honestly, I've never thought Kelly Sue DeConnick was that strong of a writer. Just my opinion. I've tried reading things, and it's just not for me. Her writing style is not for me. I've tried Bitch Planet, and I liked the first 2 issues. I was like, wow, this is really good. But then I got 4 or 5 issues into it, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting tired of this. I really just don't care. I get the message you're going for, and I get you're not trying to be subtle and you're trying to be in everybody's face and things like that. But I'm like, all right, yeah, I've lost interest in this. It's just boring. I completely lost interest in it. But I understand from that perspective why they are using Captain Marvel as the first female representation of a superhero. I'm trying to think who else they could have used. Who else? They could have actually, I would argue that they probably could have gone with Black Widow. I think a Black Widow movie would have probably been a stronger choice, mainly because she is an established icon in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they could have teamed her up with Hawkeye, and it would be a great buddy movie. Yeah, hence the reason why the average person doesn't know who Captain Marvel is. But that's also never stopped them from putting out Guardians of the Galaxy. Look at that as for example. Like 5 years ago, if you had said, "Hey, do you know who Rocket Raccoon is?" They'd be like, "Fuck no! What the fuck is a Rocket Raccoon?" You know. But they've somehow changed it around. This day and age, people know who Rocket Raccoon. You got kids dressing up as Rocket Raccoon. Oh yeah, Kelly Sue DeConnick is hardcore feminist, hardcore feminist, really, 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 really hardcore feminist. I've heard some interviews with her. I'm like, holy shit, do you even like men? And I know I'm gonna get hate for what I just said. I don't care. I don't care because I've seen some interviews with her. I'm like, God, Lee, you wear the pants in that relationship between you and Matt Fraction, don't you? Captain Marvel is Billy Batson always. Anyway, yeah, I agree. Honestly, oh, I thought you were talking about Kelly Sue DeConnick. Yeah, Brie Larson is also a hardcore feminist. But if you watch interviews with Kelly Sue DeConnick that she's done on, oh my goodness, on Word Balloon, she's a very hardcore feminist, which is that is what it is. Black Widow. I'm gonna say I would have gone with Black Widow. Just me personally, I would have gone with Black Widow for a movie, mainly because of a few reasons. She's established, she's badass, she's great, she's a great representation of women in comics and a great representation of women in cinema. I would have loved to have seen um, a Black Widow film. I think that would have been the right way to go with that. I wish they killed Danvers in Infinity War and kept her dead. Why? You might get your wish in Civil War too. She might end up dying in Civil War too. Who knows where they're gonna go with that? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about Civil War 2. I'm not even reading Civil War 2 at this point. You want to know what my stance is with Marvel and DC right now? Fuck it. You know, if they want to go ahead and make, the Wasp hook up with Daredevil, fine. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Just write some good comics. That's all I'm looking forward to. You convinced me to not read her Captain Marvel. I'm not reading any feminazi material. I might just rage. Give it a shot, man. Give it a shot. You might like it. I mean, I'm for the most part, I'm able to separate the writer from uh from the material. There are a few rare exceptions, and I try to do it with most of Kelly Sue. Beliefs aside, I just don't think she's that strong of a writer. To be honest, I really don't think Kelly Sue DeConnick is that strong of a writer. Is Omega Man a closed story since it's in the DC universe? Yes, you could totally read Omega Man the first 12, and you would be perfectly fine. Yeah, I would recommend you read. I think Omega Man reads stronger without having a prior knowledge of who Kyle Rayner is, because in some way Tom King takes certain liberties with Kyle Rayner that if you know his background and you know who he is and what he stands for and what he represents, you'd be like, okay, that's stretching a little bit too much. It's a little bit too much of a stretch, but I can go with it. In my opinion, Marvel doesn't really have good female characters. Don't kill me. I kind of disagree with that. I think they have really good female characters. What they don't have, at least in my opinion, is a Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is an icon for strong women everywhere. Wonder Woman is an absolutely awesome character. Now, Marvel has a few smaller characters that are really great representations. Like I've already said, Captain Marvel, for a lot of women out there, is a very strong representation of who they are. A lot of people look up to that character. Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, that's another great example of it. Black Widow, another great example. You know, they have their characters out there. And I'm not going to get into like this DC versus Marvel debate. I really am not. I'm just stating it. I'm just stating for what it is. Any recommended reading to prepare for the animated Justice League Dark movie? There was a Justice League Dark series that was really popular around the time of the New 52 that I've heard was pretty good. I never read it, but I've heard it wasn't bad. So I recommend you might check that out. She-Hulk. Oh, yeah. How could I forget about She-Hulk? She-Hulk is a great representation of that. You know, I mean, they blasted her in the face with a rocket on the first issue of Civil War, and she's laying in a hospital bed unconscious, which, by the way, a rocket, Bendis? Really? A rocket? And that's what knocks She-Hulk unconscious? Okay. Fuck it. Fuck it, Marvel. Yeah, sure. Whatever. You know? But She-Hulk's a great representation. Yeah. What saying Marvel doesn't have a Wonder Woman is like saying they don't have a Batman or Superman. There's only one Batman and Superman. What I meant by that is Marvel doesn't have. I would argue Marvel doesn't have as an iconic, as a strong iconic image as Wonder Woman is. I would make that argument. Then I don't think Marvel has a character that is as strong and seen in the public figure as a strong, central, iconic woman as Wonder Woman is. If that makes sense. I don't get the hype over America Chavez. She's boring. She's okay. She's a pretty interesting character. 2 more minutes, guys. I've gone on longer than even I said I would. But 2 more minutes, and that'll be up. That'll be the end for this live stream. So get them in quick. I'm going on a rant, then I'll probably be there longer. Is Batman by Gaslight worth reading? It's Scott Snyder's first Batman story. No, that's not Scott Snyder's first Batman story, is it? I can't remember. I've never read it. Again, guys, you asked me these questions, and I'm like, I've never read it, mostly because, especially now, it is hard to kind of find time to read books. I still do it for the sake of this YouTube channel, but sometimes, man, I go on almost no sleep. Like last night, I got about 5 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep, simply because of the fact that I was writing things down. I was writing kind of a schedule for what I'm going to do this week. I was thinking about what videos I'm going to do this week and things like that. Some people say that YouTube isn't a full-time job. Let me tell you something. As somebody that is having a YouTube channel that's starting to take off, that shit gets to be a full-time job or a part-time job real quick, especially when you have patrons that you have to do videos for and things like that. It gets to be a full-time and part-time job. I'm passionate about it, but it gets to be a job as well. Did I watch the UFC last night? I have not. I'm going to sit down later tonight after I finish everything up, and then I'm going to sit with it. What do you think are must-have comics you should have in an omnibus? I've answered that before. Alan Moore Swamp Thing. Alan Moore Swamp Thing is really good. It's a legendary iconic run, which me and Riley have talked about this. Why don't we have an absolute or a hardcover edition of Alan Moore's legendary Swamp Thing? What else? Let me think. Astro City. I would love to see an Astro City hardcover or omnibus. I think that'd be great. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Punisher War Journal by Jim Lee. Am I picking it up? I am not. I'm not the biggest fan of Jim Lee's art. Believe it or not, I am not the biggest fan of Jim Lee. I like the art and I like what he's done, but I'm not, I'm not that crazy about it. Why don't we have an Ultimate Spider-Man omnibus? The full run, I mean. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I know they released an omnibus about the first half of Ultimate Spider-Man a few years ago, but it never took off. I think it's one of those things that maybe it didn't sell well, so Is Batman the Black Mirror a closed story? Yes, absolutely. Batman Black Mirror is a closed story that all you need to know is that Dick Grayson is under the hood of Batman, and that's it. That's all you need to know. Dick Grayson is Batman. All you need to know, and you'll be perfectly fine reading it. I'm not gonna dab. Sorry. Okay, guys, that's gonna be it for me today. I'm gonna be putting out some content later today. Look for that. Again, I've said if you like Loot Crate unboxing videos, I'm really sorry. Chances are you're gonna hate me after I do this video, but you know, it is what it is. I think it'll be kind of funny. If not, then I'll pull a video. But yeah, check out some of my other stuff. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. And if you are so interested and you want to help a brother out and you want to kick me $1 a month, you can follow me right here. I'm going to put that link in the description. For my Patreon, it helps out. Every single dollar helps out. We are $19 away from hitting the $100 mark. If we hit it, I will do a hardcover or trade paperback giveaway to somebody in the Patreon select group. And all you got to do is put in $1 and you get a chance for it. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Cage. I'm gonna try and finish it tonight.